Hare Krishna. I welcome you all.
Thank you all for taking out your valuable time and attending these sessions week after week. So till date we have been through 3 different series. The first being Devahuti, the second is Sri Rukmini Devi, and the third series was Devyani and Sharmishta. So it's been quite a journey through all these 3 beautiful sessions from Srimad Bhagavatam, learning about these great personalities and deriving inspiration from their example. So today's session is a very special session in it that it completely deals with a very practical application of the essence of what we have learned, especially in the last session. So that is why I would like to dedicate today's session to that application aspect before we move on to the next series. So we begin our session today by offering our prayers to the Guru Parampara. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
The magical ingredient for the recipe of life is Krishna. Just add Krishna to your life. Some people, after hearing the whole of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, they simply come and tell, okay, I understood everything. We are not the body, we are the soul, the Supreme Lord, we have to surrender to Him. So what should we do? What should we practically do in our life? So what should we practically do? Nothing. Carry on with whatever you're doing and just add Krishna. Just add Krishna to your life. So next question is, how do you add Krishna to your life? He's not some kind of an object that you buy and come and you keep it and you have it. No. How do you add Krishna to your life? The technical way is through ABCD, which we have heard so many times. A for association, B for books, C for chanting, and D for diet and deity worship. So I will not go into details of all the ABCD. Today I'll just speak about A for association, because our whole theme has been relationships from the last 3 sessions. I will focus only on association. Association itself is such a vast topic. So today I will just discuss about what is association why do we need association and how do we associate? So, what is association? Association means, I'm talking about devotees association, associate with that person who is devoted with the Lord. And how does it happen? Mad chitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So what is devotees association? Is that place where the pastimes of the Lord are spoken, where one enthuses the other by speaking about what they have heard about Krishna. These days it more happens on the WhatsApp when you forward something that you liked, that has inspired you in your Krishna consciousness. If you share with somebody else, that is good association. And that is the way devotees derive pleasure. Tushyanti cha and ramanti cha. Tushyanti means satisfaction and ramanti means pleasure. This kind of an exchange brings about satisfaction and pleasure. This is what we are all looking for in life, right? We are looking for satisfaction, we are looking for pleasure. But we, unfortunately, none of us are informed about the ways and means of attaining it. Our whole material education is driving us towards directions where we are just left with an unquenchable thirst to attain this satisfaction and pleasure, despite all the great targets that we chase. But here is what Krishna telling in a very simple way. When devotees come together and exchange Harikatha, Katayantascha mam nityam, what is the result of this? Tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. You get complete satisfaction and you have great pleasure. So this is devotees association. So next we go to, why do we need devotees association? So why at all do we need devotees association? I am happy the way I am. I am just going on with life, with whatever kicks I am getting. I am just okay with it. But why? So why do we need devotees association? Because the association of devotees brings about transformation. A transformation of the heart. So I'll tell you a small story. This is a real story. It's a real story that happened 130 years ago. This is a story that is famous in the Sri Sampradaya. So 130 years ago, there was this group of devotees, of Sri Vaishnavas, that were going from one place to the other place, and they had to cross over a big forest. And as they were crossing the forest, they were also carrying a beautiful Utsava Murti with them. And this Utsava Murti, the Utsava Vigraha, was a very opulent Vigraha of Lord Narsingadev, and he had lot of jewelry that is adorning him. So their custom was that they carry the deity on their head as they are going, and at frequent intervals in a day they stop by and they prepare bhoga, they offer to the deity, and they all sit together, honor prasadam, and then they go to the next, they walk further. So in this way, in some days they will reach their destination. This is how the procession used to go by. So even this, till date, I think certain such practices are prevalent, like the Dindi Yatra in Maharashtra. People go all the way to Pandharpur by walk. Some such practices are still there. So what happened? So all these Sri Vaishnavas are going to this place with the Utsava Murti. So at one place, a group of thieves attacked them. These bandits, they got to know that they're carrying a very opulent deity, Murti of Narsingadev, who had a lot of jewelry. So these bandits came and they took out all their knives, and they approached these Vaishnavas and put the knife at their neck and said that, come on, remove all these jewelry and give it to us. And so all these Vaishnavas got very scared. Oh my God, what is this? And they said, no, please take. Then the chief sannyasi who was there, he came by and he said, my dear thieves, okay, fine, you want all the jewelry and the Utsava Murti, you can take. Okay, but we just have one small request. This is the time of offering the bhoga to the Lord. Just wait few minutes. We will just offer the bhoga to the Lord, and if not, the Lord will be hungry. After that, you can pack your entire booty, whatever you want, and you can leave. Then the bandits thought, okay, fine, we will wait. Then, so the Vaishnavas, they all went, they took the bath because they have to take the bath before preparing the bhoga. The thieves were also, they had a faith in the words of the sannyasi, and they also went, took their bath, and they came by. So they prepared beautiful bhoga offerings, and what all they prepared, they came and offered, and offered to the Lord. And after they took the offering and they offered the Maharati for the deity. And after the bandits were witnessing all this. They offered Maharati to the deity, and then they put the deity to rest, and then they started offering the Mahaprasadam to everybody. And a part of the Mahaprasadam they offered to the thieves also. And as the offering was over, they were singing the praises to the Lord. And after this whole procession was over, then the sannyasi came and told, yes, my dear thieves, now it's time for you to take. Please take whatever you want. And the chief bandit, he started shedding incessant tears. He started crying. And he said, oh Sannyasi Deva, we are very sorry. Please forgive us. You are such very pious souls. You are the worshippers of the Supreme Lord. We do not want to do any harm to you, nor do we want to take anything of the Lord. They went through such transformation. They said, please, we do not want anything. Not just we don't want to take everything away, but we promise you that we come with you till the end of the jungle, so no more bandits will come and attack you. We will become like bodyguards for all of you, and the guards for the deity to cross this jungle. Having said that, the thieves actually traveled with the whole party of Sri Vaishnavas, and they have safely taken them over until they reached the next village. So this was the transformation that these thieves went through because of their association with devotees. They came to loot, but they got transformed into devotees. So why do we associate with devotees? Because it makes us be transformed in our heart. And another reason why we associate with devotees is it brings about a purification of our false ego. So the false ego is something that is so formidable. It just comes in between for everything. And the false ego is one of the major reasons why there can be no peace either between two persons in their relationship, why there could be no peace within a family, why there are so many fights in a family, or why there are so many fights in a nation at large. So what is the reason for such fights? Why is there so much of disagreement all around? It is simply because one puts oneself in the center. The center of the person's life is oneself. For example, in psychology, actually, there was a great research that was done about what is the root cause of all the psychological problems, all the psychopathological conditions, all psychological problems like anxiety, depression, paranoia, schizophrenia, schizoid personality. There are n number of psychological issues a person can have. What is the root cause of all these problems? There was an extensive research done. And you know what is the result of that research? The research came up with the finding, an interesting finding, that the root cause of all psychological problems is being self-centered. The self-centered nature of an individual is the root cause of all the psychological problems. So this is the nature of the ego. It always makes you the center. Actually, Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful example that in a lake, if you throw one stone, there are innumerable ripples around that one stone. But you throw multiple stones, more than one stone, there are ripples for each of that stone, and all the ripples come in, they clash against each other. So similarly, when you have just one center in your life, there is a very harmonic spread. Yeah, there is harmony. The ripples don't clash with each other. But there are numerous centers, then there is a lot of clashes of interest, clashes of ideas, etc. So in the lives of devotees, Krishna's pleasure is always the center. So when that is the center of one's life, automatically all the so-called disagreements come to their agreement in giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord. That is the reason why all the ego clashes are resolved, simply by putting Krishna in the center. So it's a matter of cultivation. It's not that today I put my tilak and I hold my bead bag and finish, all the problems of life are solved. No, this ego, for the ego to remove oneself from the center and to put Krishna completely in the center, it's a great journey. It's the greatest journey, in fact. So as devotees, what we are doing, we are cultivating this. We are cultivating this through our speech. We are cultivating this through our action. We are cultivating this through our prayers. We are cultivating this through our practices, saying that Krishna, you are the center. Devotee help is because in devotees association, even the language that we use, it's called the devotee parlance. Like when you meet a devotee, you say Hare Krishna. You're actually uttering the holy names of the Lord. You're saying, please accept my humble obeisances. Through those words, you're actually practicing humility and respect towards a devotee. And you say, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. AGTSP, we write in our mails and messages, right? What does it mean? All glories to Srila Prabhupada. That means all glories to all Vaishnavas. That means all glories to Vaishnavas, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, no glories to me. This itself is the biggest ego purification. In the beginning, we may not really mean it when we are just speaking about it. But as days pass by, we speak about it. Later, we start thinking about it. And later, as days pass by, because of our sincerity, it can become ingrained into our consciousness and become a very part of our being. This is the beauty of being in devotees association. Even the normal speech, the daily jargon can bring about the tremendous transformation in a person's heart. So the association of devotee can bring about a transformation of the heart. It can help one purify one's ego. And so basically, how do we identify a devotee? So there is something called a delta X. This is one something we have to keep a check, because even in the name of association, we might be just doing some prajalpa. But how do we check that this association is really helping me gain or helping me advance in my Krishna consciousness? As students, you all know what is delta X, right? Delta X. So whenever you associate with a person, with a devotee, if it is giving you a plus delta X in your inspiration to practice Krishna consciousness, then you should make a mark and note of it. And we have to try to associate with that person more often. This is the indication for the positive Krishna conscious association. Gain the delta X in your spiritual life. So this is a self-search. Whose association is giving me inspiration in my bhakti? One should always keep their receptors on. Similarly, not just that we run after people who are giving us that inspiration, but we ourselves have to be that delta X for the people who are coming to us. We have so many friends who associate with us, so many newcomers who are taking our association. We should also be responsible to give that delta X to them. In my association with them, am I giving the inspiration for them to practice Krishna consciousness? This is one self-search. So how do we identify a devotee? That's the next question. So a similar question, one of the great saints in the history of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya was narrated. So there was a saintly person. He goes to Kuresh. Kuresh is a disciple of Ramanujacharya. He goes to him and asks him, "Hey Acharya, how do I know who is a devotee?" Then Kuresh, he answers saying that there is a great devotee called Anantacharya at Srirangam. So you please go and meet him. He will tell you who is a devotee. So this saintly person goes to Anantacharya, and when he goes to Anantacharya, he was actually serving prasadam to a lot of Vaishnavas. So as he was serving prasadam to Vaishnavas, he goes up to him and tells him, "My dear Anantacharya, Kuresh has sent me to you." Then he says, and I have a question to ask you. Then Anantacharya tells him, okay, wait. And they serve him prasadam, but Anantacharya does not talk to him anything today. Okay, the next day. The next day again they serve him prasadam, and again Anantacharya does not bother to answer his question. Then again third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, days start passing by. And as days start passing by, actually the hospitality also decreases. Like, he'll be treated in a more informal way. In fact, they stop washing his plate. They tell him only to go and wash his plate. Then later they don't even serve him with much reverence, and their hospitality drastically falls down. But still, this saintly person, he doesn't give up. He just still waits to have his question answered. So in that way, at the end of the 10 days, Anantacharya then comes to him and asks him, okay, now tell me, what is your question? So this saintly person asks Anantacharya with all humility, my dear sir, I have come here all the way from Srirangam to ask you this one question. Please enlighten me. Who is a devotee? How to identify a devotee? Then Anantacharya tells him, a devotee should be like a crane, like a hen, like salt, and like you. He tells it and he leaves. Now the saintly person is even more bewildered. Okay, I came from so long and I waited for 10 days for a great elaborate answer. I thought my time has come for receiving the answer, and now I got these 4 answers and I'm not understanding. And then he says, thank you Anantacharya ji, and he leaves. He goes back to Srirangam and he goes to Kuresh. And Kuresh asks, so did you find the answer? Then he says, yes, I got the answer, but I could not understand the answer. Then he laughs and he says, okay, tell me what is the answer that you received. He said, Anantacharya, he tells the whole thing, what all has happened for 10 days, how he waited, and finally he received the answer that a devotee should be like a crane, a hen, salt, and like me. Then Kuresh says, that is wonderful. And he starts explaining him. There is a very deep meaning in what Anantacharya ji has told you. He told that a devotee should be like a crane. Why a crane? Have you ever seen a crane? A crane it stands in the shallow water and with long beak. Yeah? And the crane keeps always looking into the water. Its complete meditation is, are there any fishes passing by in this shallow water? So the crane is compared to the devotee and the water is compared to time. So as the crane keeps looking, looking at the water, first small fish pass by. But the crane doesn't get disturbed or distracted. It waits. Then little more bigger fish pass by. It doesn't care for that also. Then medium-sized fish pass by. And the crane doesn't get distracted by even that. It just lets those fishes pass by and it waits. And there is a big fish, an intelligent fish. It sees all these small fish going by without being attacked. So it thinks that it is safe for me also to go. And then this big fish comes. And now when the big fish comes, the crane, it grabs that big fish. So a devotee is like this crane. Why? Because these small fishes are like allurements and pleasures of life that come in the ways of mode of pleasures in mode of ignorance, pleasures in mode of passion, pleasures in mode of goodness. Like somebody might just call you for a movie, devotee ignores. Somebody might call you for a party, exciting party. Okay, let it go. And then these are all the small fish that are passing by. And then there came an opportunity to serve the Lord. Big fish, grab it. That is a devotee. So a devotee is the one who waits for the opportunity which is taking you closer to the purpose of life, and it does not get distracted with the trivial pleasures that the world offers. That is the nature of a devotee. So the devotee is like a crane. Next, the devotee is like a hen. Why is the devotee like a hen? Have you ever seen a hen? A hen, it scratches the ground, and with its beak, chuck, 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 it just picks up some grains and it starts eating. It selects some grains, picks up, and it starts eating. So a devotee is like that. A devotee, he takes what is the good part of a person and rejects that part which is not relevant, either out of a person or out of a situation. A devotee selectively takes what is good and ignores what is not good, just like this hen. And salt. So a devotee is like a crane, like a hen, and a salt. Why salt? In a dish, have you ever seen anybody glorifying salt? If a dish is perfectly made and it's tasting delicious, you say, wow, this is amazing. Like say, there is a wonderful vegetable pulao. It's a very delicious vegetable pulao. So you say, wow, it's an amazingly made pulao. The spices are very nicely made. They glorify the cook, they glorify the spices, they glorify the vegetables, but nobody actually bothers to glorify the salt. But let's say if the dish has turned out bad and because there is excessive salt, first thing they complain, it's too salty. So a devotee is the one who is actually hidden during success. He does not reveal his identity. He's spread all over, like the devotee, there is a service, he's spread all over, but he is behind the curtain. He is not very desirous of credit. But when there is criticism, he is there to come and take it. That is why a devotee is like salt. Not desirous of credit, but ready to take criticism when it comes. And then a devotee is like you, Anantacharya said. So why he said the devotee is like you? Because you waited 10 days, you did not give up. You were really patient and waited the 10 days to receive your answer. You were serious about what you wanted. You were determined to get it. You didn't give it up despite the apparent humiliation or being ignored. You were strong on your purpose. So a devotee is the one who is determined on his purpose despite the apparent failures or of one's expectations. So this is how a devotee should be. A devotee should be like a crane, a hen, like salt, and like the saintly devotee himself, being determined on the purpose. So this is the kind of association we should seek, and this is the kind of association we should be to the people who are coming to us. So this is what we have learnt about what is association, why should we seek association. So why should we take association? One of the reason is we learned it brings about transformation. Second is it purifies our ego. And third is devotees association means it is a very caring and loving community. So we form mutually loving and caring and supportive community. So why do we need this mutual love and care, and why should we be in a supportive community? What's the need for it? It is because there is a beautiful lesson that we can learn from the geese. Geese is the plural of goose. Have you ever seen the geese flying? These geese, when they fly, they fly in a V formation. So when they're flying in a V formation, what happens is, there are many things we can learn from this, the way the geese fly. So when they fly in a V formation, number one, the resistance that they face from the air is 71% lesser than the resistance they face when they fly alone. This is the beauty of association. If they were to fly alone, they have to put in so much effort, let's say 100. But if they're flying in a group, they just have to put in 29 points of effort. They save 71% of their energy because there's 71% lesser resistance that they are facing. This is because of the aerodynamics, the thrust, and the air resistance lessens because of the shape and all that. But what we can learn from this is that when we are in association of devotees and we are all flying in the same direction, same direction of the spiritual world. So there are many obstacles on the path of devotion, but when we are flying in a group, we could fly with more ease and with more velocity and swiftness. Then what else we can learn from these geese is that these geese, when they are flying, they whenever a goose falls behind, the remaining geese, they come to give a backup and sends it. They brings it back in line. So this is a beauty. Sometimes when we have a lot of devotee friends. We seem, if we get distracted or we want to just go and do something else, these devotee friends will really bring us back. They say, hey, come on, I've heard a nice lecture. Why don't you try this? Or let's do some chanting together. Or I've heard this new kirtan. This is very beautiful kirtan. I just want to share with you. Or I just want to share some realization. Somehow or the other, if we have devotee friends, they pull us back. But because the relationship with devotee is so sweet, some way or the other they pull us back. They always pull us back into the association. That's the beauty of having these devotees as our friends. So what the third lesson we learn from geese is sometimes the goose that is right at the front, at the tip, it falls, it comes behind, and the next goose takes the front position. So this is how actually leadership works in spiritual circles. The leader is not always attached to be the first person to fly. They switch over their position and let another person lead. So there is rotation of the position of leaderships, and this is called constructive and purposeful leadership. So, and there's another interesting thing about how these geese fly. So the geese that are behind, they keep quacking, they're doing cack, 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 in a way that it encourages the first goose that is flying, that is taking the lead. Similarly, when we are in association of devotees, there are many devotees who encourage us to, for what we do. There are also people who discourage us. But if you want to add value to the group, what you do is you encourage them in what they are doing, and it means a lot. It gives a lot of support and strength to the first goose that is flying. These are all amazing team dynamics, And then the fifth lesson that we learn from this is a very touching and interesting lesson. Very, very touching lesson. These geese, when they're flying together, if one of the goose gets shot or if it gets hurt, what happens is 2 geese from the whole group, they come out of the group and they go along with this short bird and they wait for that bird to heal itself, or if the goose is leaving its body, they wait until this goose leaves its body. Imagine, in geese, they have such sensitivity to the person's suffering and feeling. And only 2 birds come from the flock and go and attend to this bird that is hurt. Remaining go on with the flying episode. Only 2 geese come out of the flock and they attend to this goose that is hurt. Similarly, even when we are in the association of devotees, if somebody is feeling left out, somebody is feeling pain, somebody is feeling hurt, somebody is feeling not so inspired or facing some struggles, it's normal, natural and genuine to have struggles in our life. And if some devotee is feeling left out in that way, if we take out our time to care for that devotee, you're really, really pleasing the Supreme Lord so much. You're pleasing the Guru and the Supreme Lord so much that in their eyes, that care that you are giving to that person who is left out is much greater than the external things, any amount of external things that you do. It is said that a Vaishnava is so worshipable that if you are worshipping the deity and in the meantime a Vaishnava comes, you stop your deity worship, go receive the Vaishnava, come back and continue your worship. That is how much a Vaishnava is dear to the Lord. And to take care of the a devotee who is in need is something so very dear to the Lord. Devotee care. So this is what we can learn from the flying of these geese. So I'm very happy that all of us together, every day in the morning we come together and we chant, and it's a wonderful community that we are forming together, and we have each other. This is actually what will take us forward in the long run. The relationship between devotees with mutual care, support and love. So this is why we take Devotees Association, because in this association we actually undergo the true transformation of the heart, we nurture our bonds, we get true association, and we overcome our false ego, which is otherwise impossible. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada once said that if you are thinking that you can perform devotional service without the association of devotees, you are insane. So we need each other, we need devotees association, and together we can achieve this goal of devotion to the Supreme Lord and not alone. So this is what is Devotees Association, why we associate, and final is how we associate. How we associate, Nectar of Instruction beautifully explained. Dadati pratigrinati guhyam akhyati prachati bhunjte bhojayate chaiva shadvidir priti lakshana. So by giving gifts and receiving gifts, by revealing one's heart in confidence, not with everyone, with somebody whom you repose your faith and trust in, you open your heart and you talk to that person. And then also when somebody opens their heart and talks to you, you listen to them. Listening is the best. Lord has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, for a good reason. Then bhunte bhojayate chaiva, that means invite them for prasadam and you dine for prasadam with them. These are all exchanges of love. I'm sure His Grace Radheshyam Prabhuji is taking the classes on Nectar of Instruction every Sunday. Right now Prabhuji is in the 3rd verse and the 4th verse comes next, during which Prabhuji will discuss in a great detail, and please don't miss that class on Nectar of Instruction, especially about the 4th verse, Dadati Pratigranhati. This is how we associate with devotees. So what is association, why we need association, and how we associate is in a nutshell all about what I wanted to share with you today. So let us build this magical, so let us prepare this magical recipe, the recipe that can really satiate our hunger for love by adding the magical ingredient of Krishna. And how do we add Krishna? By the ABCD. And today we learned what is that A of the ABCD, the association. So with this we end our whole series on the topic Devayani and Sharmishta. We have clearly learned beautiful lessons about friendship. We have learned beautiful lessons about what makes the ship of friendship sail, what makes it sink. We have learned certain very subtle points about actually what keeps a relationship intact during challenging times. We learned this last week. And today we learned about what is the true meaning of relationship. True relationships are those which actually bring us closer to Krishna. So, and we also learned about some dynamics of these relationships in terms of why we need this association, how we should associate, and actually what is association. So I thank you all very much for your valuable association. Thank Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.